Um, I mentioned earlier, I asked you kiddingly if you were going to the
The wedding.
Rush's the wedding.
Yeah.
You unless I'm mistaken, you did spend some time and get to meet his
I did,
intent.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
What?
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't
Yeah,
mean to
well,
stop.
what can you tell us about her?
Well, the first time I was down in Florida, or maybe it was the second, but anyway, among the first or second time, Rush introduced me to Catherine Rogers as his girlfriend. They had just been going out for a short time. He had not too much before that had gotten divorced from his third wife, Marta, and she's much younger than he is. Rush is 59. She, I think, is 33. Um, she's a real knockout,
Mm.
and she's also. I found her extremely charming and really interesting. She's the daughter of a naval officer, I believe, an admiral. I could be wrong about that. I think he's an admiral, and a mother who was a diplomat. And Catherine, was sort of raised all over the world. She was educated partly in Africa and partly in Hawaii and other places. And she's just quite, I found her quite sophisticated and very sweet, very nice. Rush had always said to people around him, if I ever, this is after his third divorce, if I ever mention anything about getting married, I want you to throw me off a mountain or drown me or such, that kind of thing. And he said something like that to me when I first met him. Last August, I was down in Palm Beach finishing up the interviewing for the book, and I saw Catherine again, and she had this gigantic diamond, what looked to me to be a diamond, on her finger. And I said to her, oh, congratulations are in order. And she said, well, not really. It's not an engagement ring. And then I said to Rush afterwards, I see that Catherine's got a ring on it. Have you changed your mind about getting married? And he said to me, well, I don't know. We're considering it. But he said, there's so much abuse that goes with being me that I don't know if I want to subject Catherine to that level of abuse. And then I guess he decided, or they decided together, that she was ready to take what goes with being Mrs. Limbaugh, in both directions, for good and for bad. And off they go. They're getting married on Saturday.
Probably safer being Mrs. Limbaugh than being Mrs. American League umpire who blew a perfect game last night. So, I guess of the two, that's probably
Yeah,
a safer
yeah,
choice.
especially in Detroit.
um, what do you think, before we have to wrap up, what do you think is most misunderstood by the public about Rush Limbaugh?
I think that the public doesn't understand what his role is in the American political culture. People say, oh, he's an entertainer, which is true, and they say he's a businessman, which is true. There are many things. But the other thing, the main thing that Limbaugh is right now, is the most important person in Red America. He's the most important person in the Republican Party. He's the leader of the Republican Party. After Obama's election, when there was a complete, vacuum in leadership, Bush went back to Crawford, and McCain went to wherever he went. And there were a couple of, Mitch McConnell and Boehner and so on were the leaders of the party. And nobody knew what to do about this new president who was so popular and so different and so charming. And Limbaugh stood up at that point and said, I hope he fails, and I'm going to make him fail. And I'm going to demand from the Congress, from the Republicans in Congress, that we oppose him and his agenda and everything he wants to do in America. And when some people in Congress, and also Michael Steele, the chairman of the Republican National Committee, tried, and Colin Powell and others tried to, achieve some kind of cooperation and bipartisanship, Limbaugh smacked them down so fast that nobody even tried after that.
Right.
And as a result, and Limbaugh has always said quoting Ronald Reagan, that real conservatism, meaning Reagan conservatism, wins every time it's tried politically. So this year, the Republican Party is going into the elections in November running on a platform of Limbaugh-Reagan conservatism, real conservatism. If the Republican Party wins a big victory in November, this is going to be seen as a vindication of Limbaugh's, political principles. Mm-hmm. And I don't think, to me, my friends on the left are always, surprised by things that are happening on the right. They don't get where it comes from. What's the Tea Party? It's so mysterious. Tea Party is Rush Limbaugh, in the streets. That's all. There's nothing.
Zev,
there's nothing in the doctrines of the Tea Party that didn't come right off of Limbaugh's show.
Zev, I need to interrupt you because we're just about out of time, and I want to tell everybody that they can find ZEV CHAFETS' new book, and it's spelled CHAFETS, but it's pronounced CHAFETS. It's Rush Limbaugh, An Army of One. You can find it at great bookstores everywhere.
Even
you can order it.
Bookstores have it.
Even bad bookstores have it. There you go. Or you can order it online at MRmedia, MrMedia.com.
Yeah, do that.
Zev, I really enjoyed it. I feel like we could probably go another 30 minutes and just begin to get into this. But I'm so grateful to you for coming on the show today. And it really is a well-written, enjoyable book, whether you're a Limbaugh fan or not. And thanks for being with us today.
Okay, well, thank you very much for having me. I enjoyed it.
My pleasure.
Good luck with the show.
And folks, for more original interviews with your favorite politicians and journalists, you can surf over to our main website, mrmedia.com, mrmedia.com. Subscribe to Mr. Media on iTunes, and you'll never miss a show. Just search Mr. Media Interviews from within iTunes and subscribe for free. Thanks so much for joining us today. Always appreciate when you share a piece of your day with Mr. Media. Thanks for listening, everybody. See you next time.